Okay, imagine this. Picture a really busy town, the sound of factories, machines humming, maybe textiles being dyed, leather being worked, that constant rhythm.
Yeah, the pulse of industry.
Exactly. Now imagine that sound just fades, it gets quieter, and then boom, silence. Not because it's the weekend, but because a crisis has hit.
And that silence means worry. For workers, for families, for whole communities, it's unsettling.
It really is. And that's what we've been digging into, a situation unfolding right now, an economic shock hitting India's export heartland, specifically the state of Tamil Nadu.
What's quite startling, really, is just how fast these huge international decisions can, well, filter down, how they become direct personal problems almost overnight.
Right. We're seeing the fallout, the immediate hit from this massive 50% tariff the U.S. just imposed on Indian goods.
And it's landing especially hard on Tamil Nadu, which is, it's known as India's export powerhouse, right?
Absolutely. So our mission today in this deep dive is to kind of unpack all the layers here. Where did this come from? Who's feeling the pain? And importantly, what are the proposed solutions? There's a bold plan on the table we need to talk about.
Yeah, we want to connect those dots for you. Show how global trade isn't just abstract numbers. It directly affects people's lives on the ground.
We really want to give you a clear, a concise but also deep understanding of this because it impacts so many lives and it has ripples, across the global economy.
It's not just another news headline. Many people there are calling this situation unprecedented. So it's crucial to grasp the what, the why, and the potential ways forward.
Okay, so let's get into the why. It's easy to frame this just as economics, but like you said, there are bigger currents at play here, geopolitical ones.
Definitely.
The spark was the U.S. under President Trump hitting India with this 50% tariff. That kicked in late August 2025. So why now? Why so high?
Well, the official U.S. line centers on trade imbalances, this feeling that the scales aren't balanced. But there's more to it.
Like what?
A big factor is India's ongoing relationship with Russia, especially buying oil and weapons, particularly when global tensions are high elsewhere. The U.S. isn't happy about that.
Oh, so it's like leverage.
Yeah.
A way to apply pressure.
Kind of. You could think of it maybe crudely like a neighbor putting up a massive fence because they don't like who you're inviting over. But this fence, this tariff, it's a serious economic weapon.
50% is incredibly aggressive. It's not just a signal, it's a direct hit.
Absolutely. It shows significant displeasure. And we're seeing that direct link you mentioned, high-level strategy, hitting local economic stability hard.
And it hits India hard because the U.S. is such a huge market, right? Something like 20% of India's total exports, around $55 billion a year.
That's right, a massive market. But for Tamil Nadu, the state we're focusing on, it's even more concentrated.
How so?
Well, Tamil Nadu contributes about 10% of India's total exports, which is huge in itself. But critically, almost a third, nearly 31% of their state exports, go directly to the U.S.
Wow, okay, so that disproportionate reliance makes them incredibly vulnerable here.
Exactly. That's why they're feeling the brunt. And the numbers, they really paint a worrying picture. Economists are saying this could knock, what, 0.3 to 0.5 percentage points off India's overall GDP growth?
That's significant at a national level.
It is. But the human cost is starker. We could be looking at up to 2 million jobs threatened across India, and revenue losses in the affected sectors, potentially between $13 and $24 billion.
And if we zoom into Tamil Nadu specifically, the textile sector alone.
Yeah, estimates suggest they could lose around 3,000 crore rupees. That's about 360 million US dollars.
And their profit margins are already thin, right? Like 5 to 7%.
Exactly. So those margins just evaporate.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Indian goods are maybe 35% more expensive than stuff coming from, say, Bangladesh or Vietnam or Pakistan, who don't face these tariffs.
It's a massive price disadvantage overnight. A shockwave, really.
And it's not just textiles. This shockwave is hitting a whole range of key industries. We're talking leather goods, auto parts, machinery, footwear, even seafood that would normally be heading for American restaurants.
And we can actually point to the places feeling it most. Tiruppur, the knitwear hub, Vellore, the leather centers, Coimbatore making auto parts, Thoothukudi, the fishing ports.
Yeah, these are specific towns, specific communities where the impact is immediate.
Just try to picture it for you listening. Think of a factory owner in Tiruppur. Maybe it's a family business exporting T-shirts to the U.S. for years. Suddenly their products are just too expensive. Orders dry up.
And then what? Workers get laid off, people who've worked there for ages.
Right, and the whole local economy feels it. The cafes are quieter, the transport guys have less work. It's not abstract economics anymore. It's families worrying about school fees, maybe skipping festivals because the paycheck isn't coming.
It really illustrates that deep connection between global trade shifts and just, well, daily life in these communities. The disruption is profound.
So, into this really difficult situation, this economic turmoil, steps a very well-known figure, Vijay.
Ah, yes, the actor turned politician.
Exactly.
Why?
Huge superstar in Tamil cinema, known for blockbusters, often with a social message, interestingly enough. He founded his party, Tamil Kazhagam TVK, back in 2024, aiming for, a fresh approach.
And his intervention here is quite significant, isn't it? He didn't mince words.
Not at all. He recently made a very powerful statement, basically urging both the central government in Delhi and the Tamil Nadu state government to act immediately. On a war footing, was his phrase.
That's strong language, shows the urgency.
It does. He called the situation unprecedented. And he warned very clearly that without urgent action, Tamil Nadu's exporters could just collapse under this pressure. Unfair global politics, as he put it.
And he didn't just raise the alarm, did he? He offered specifics.
Right. That's what makes his intervention stand out. It wasn't just criticism. It was a detailed plan. He laid out 11 specific demands, a blueprint, really.
Focused squarely on the people affected, the workers, the entrepreneurs.
It feels quite timely, quite bold. Like you said, not just pointing fingers, but offering a potential path forward.
And these 11 demands, when you look at them, they form a pretty comprehensive roadmap. It's not just one thing, it's layered.
How so? What's the structure?
It seems split between sort of immediate first aid, stopping the bleeding, and then longer-term fixes, like a toolkit, tools to patch the roof right now, but also tools to strengthen the foundations for the future.
Okay, that makes sense. A multi-pronged approach. But implementing 11 demands, especially needing coordination between the state and the center, that sounds challenging politically, maybe economically.
Absolutely. It requires huge political will, seamless coordination. That's always a hurdle. But the argument is that doing nothing, the cost of inaction, is far, far higher.
So what are the main pillars of this plan? You mentioned immediate relief.
Yeah, let's break it down. The plan essentially covers 3 big areas. Direct financial relief right now, making banking and credit easier to access, and then strategic moves for the long haul, like finding new markets. Okay, let's tackle that first part. Immediate financial help. What's being proposed to give people some breathing room fast? First off, he's calling for a Union State Tariff Response Task Force. Think of it like a joint war room.
To coordinate everything, cut through red tape.
Exactly. Make sure the concerns from, say, Tiruppur actually get heard quickly in Delhi. For you listening, that means faster help, maybe stopping factories from closing down.
Okay, that sounds practical. What else for immediate relief?
Then there's a proposed Special Export Stabilization Fund. This is crucial. It's like a dedicated safety net.
For who specifically?
For those small and medium exporters who are suddenly seeing orders canceled, revenue drying up, this fund could offer grants, maybe low-cost loans, just to keep the lights on. Especially vital in sectors like seafood and Thoothukudi, where U.S. demand has reportedly just plummeted.
And what about the workers themselves, protecting their income?
Yes, that's a key demand. Emergency relief measures, including wage protection. This puts the onus on the Tamil Nadu government to step in with subsidies.
To actually cover salaries.
To help cover salaries, yeah. Protect workers' paychecks during this crunch. This could directly help, estimates suggest, over 200,000 textile workers just in Tiruppur, making sure families can still cover essentials, school fees, food, rent, even if the shifts are cut drastically. It's about basic household stability.
That feels incredibly direct, very focused on the human impact.
It is. And alongside that, there's a call for subsidized credit for vulnerable workers and industries, basically low-interest loans.
Because regular banks might be hesitant to lend right now.
Precisely. When things get risky, banks often tighten up. So this is about making sure credit is still available and affordable. Imagine a leather artisan in velour. This could give them the cash they need to maybe retool or find a new buyer without getting buried in high-interest debt. It keeps skills and communities alive.
Okay, so that covers the immediate financial cushion. What about the second pillar you mentioned, easing banking and access to capital for the businesses themselves?
Right. This is about the financial plumbing, making it work better for these struggling businesses, especially the smaller ones, the MSMEs.
Micro, small, and medium enterprises, the backbone of the industry, really.
Absolutely. So one big demand is to remove MSMEs from Basel III norms and introduce simple banking policies.
Okay, Basel III. Those are the international banking rules, right? Designed for stability after the financial crisis.
Correct. Very important rules, but they often mean banks have to hold more capital against loans to smaller, perceived, riskier businesses, which can tighten credit.
So the idea is to exempt MSMEs, make it easier for banks to lend to them.
Essentially, yes, allow for more flexible, maybe nationally specific rules for lending to MSMEs in this crisis situation. It could unlock a lot of much-needed credit for, say, that auto parts maker in Coimbatore trying to bridge the gap.
That sounds like it could make a real difference. What else on the banking front?
A crucial one, a 2-year moratorium on principal repayments for MSMEs.
So they'd only pay interest for 2 years.
Exactly. It eases their immediate cash flow burden tremendously, gives them vital breathing space to stabilize, reinvest, find new orders without the immediate pressure of paying back the main loan amount. This could prevent a wave of bankruptcies and job losses, especially in sectors like machinery.
A breathing space, okay. And getting quick access to emergency funds.
Yes, that links to the call to reintroduce the Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme, ECLGS.
Ah, I remember that from the COVID response. It was quite successful, wasn't it?
Highly successful. The government guarantees the loans, so banks are much more willing to lend quickly, even in uncertain times. It removes a lot of the risk for the banks.
So it's about getting liquidity, getting cash into the hands of these exporters fast, using a proven model.
Precisely. A vital bridge to help them adapt.
Okay, so we've covered immediate relief and making finance more accessible. What about the third part, the longer-term strategy? Building resilience for the future.
Right, because just surviving the immediate crisis isn't enough. You need to build back stronger and smarter. Diversification is key here.
Moving away from that heavy reliance on the U.S. market.
Exactly. So there's a demand for a special financial package to help MSMEs diversify exports. This means actual funding support.
To do what? Market research, travel, find new buyers.
All of the above. Help businesses actively explore and enter new markets, maybe in Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, essentially. This could help, say, the gems and jewelry sector find totally new avenues.
Makes strategic sense. What else for the long term?
There's a proposed 5% interest subsidy scheme. Here, the government basically covers 5 percentage points of the interest on loans for these industries.
Making borrowing cheaper, even beyond emergency measures.
Yes, it directly reduces their financing costs,
Right.
helping them stay competitive even with tariff pressures, could keep those auto factories in Chennai, for example, more viable.
And trade deals, opening new doors.
Crucial. The demand is to enhance export incentives and expand free trade agreements, FTAs. So boost the rewards for exporting and really fast-track negotiations for FTAs with other countries or blocs, like the EU. If the U.S. door is half shut, you need to open others wider, faster.
And finally, dealing with input costs, making production cheaper.
Yes, a very important point often raised by industry. Remove import duties on cotton and other raw materials.
So if they import cotton to make textiles, drop the tax on that imported cotton.
Correct. It directly lowers their production costs right at the start of the chain. Industry bodies have been asking for this. It could save significant money per unit, helping keep final prices competitive globally.
Wow. When you lay it all out like that, those 11 demands, it really does sound like a comprehensive strategy. It's not just reacting, it's trying to reshape things.
It is. It's moving from just crisis management to, hopefully, building genuine economic resilience. Thinking about how to withstand not just this shock, but future ones too. It certainly echoes warnings from economists about the billions at risk and calls from business leaders for urgent diversification.
It's a potential blueprint not just for Tamil Nadu, but maybe a lesson for any region heavily reliant on one specific market or political situation.
Absolutely. Building that economic immune system, not just treating the symptoms.
Let's bring it back to the people, though. These plans sound good on paper, but what do they mean for someone like Raja, the fabric dyer in Tiruppur we mentioned? Earning 15,000 rupees a month, suddenly his shifts are cut by 40%. He's worried about feeding his family, his daughter's schooling.
Right. Or Lakshmi, the leather exporter in Vellore, her family business, maybe generations old, facing closure because their U.S. buyers just switched to a cheaper, tariff-free supplier elsewhere.
These aren't just anecdotes, are they? This is the reality behind the statistics.
It is. And the ripples go further. The truck driver with no goods to transport, the local tea stall owner with fewer customers, it impacts the entire social fabric. That's the real human cost we need to remember.
So for you listening, maybe from far away, hearing these stories helps connect the dots. If demands like wage protection are implemented, maybe Raja keeps his job or at least gets support.
And if diversification efforts work, maybe Lakshmi finds new buyers in Europe or Asia, saving her family business, maybe even growing it in a new direction.
It's about resilience, isn't it? Trying to
Yeah.
turn this crisis into a catalyst for positive change, for innovation.
That's the hope. But it raises that bigger question for all of us, doesn't it? In this interconnected world, how do we best shield our key industries and, more importantly, the people who make them run?
Because the alternative, if these demands are ignored, if action isn't taken, the consequences could be pretty severe.
Potentially dire. You could see spiraling job losses, huge strain on social safety nets, maybe even a drag on national economic growth. And the pain wouldn't likely stay confined to Tamil Nadu. Other labor-intensive states like Maharashtra or Gujarat could feel knock-on effects too.
But on the flip side, if they do act decisively.
Well, besides mitigating the damage, it could genuinely spark innovation.
Yeah.
Maybe new textile technologies emerge or more sustainable fishing methods as people adapt. Some economists believe that with the right support, the GDP hit could be minimized, and India might actually emerge stronger, perhaps even improving its negotiating position down the road.
And we are seeing some movement, right? Tamil Nadu's chief minister, Mr. Stalin, has already written to the prime minister, echoing some of these asks like GST cuts and loan moratoriums.
Yes, and the central government is urging states to help exporters, and consultations are happening. So things are in motion. This tariff storm is a massive test for Tamil Nadu, no doubt, but also a chance to show resilience, to respond effectively.
It really is a dynamic situation. It demands that unified action, that forward thinking you mentioned, to protect both the economy and the people.
It's about building a more robust ship, ready for whatever storms might come next.
So we've journeyed through this really critical challenge facing Tamil Nadu's exporters. We've looked at the roots of the crisis, the human impact, and this comprehensive blueprint for action put forward by Vijay.
It's a clear case study of global economics hitting local lives.
Absolutely. And it highlights the potential power of unified, decisive action when facing such challenges. It leaves us with a thought, perhaps for you, the listener, to consider. As global trade keeps shifting, as unexpected storms like this keep brewing, what can communities and governments do?
Yeah.
What innovative approaches can protect core industries, not just from tariffs, but from all sorts of future shocks?
And maybe how can we all as citizens get a better handle on this complex dance of global commerce? Because as we've seen, it really does impact daily life in profound ways.
It does. This deep dive really shows, I think, that when challenges arise, it's not just the storm itself, but how we navigate through it, hopefully together, that truly defines the outcome. Thank you for joining us on this journey today.